If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Please, let me explain. 1, it is free. 2, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from the phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many others. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So please, download the free Anchor app and go to anchor.fm and get started today.
The Ear, Evangelical and Reformed Christian Podcast. Welcome to The Ear, the Evangelical and Reformed, a Christian podcast that urges you to think deeper and draws you closer to God through faith. Through powerful sermons, teaching segments, and discussions, The Ear hopes to give you a different perspective on secular topics from a Christian worldview. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Please welcome your host, Brandon Queen.
Good afternoon, podcast world. I know I told you guys earlier that I was going to be taking a break, a month-long break. However, I could not pass up this opportunity to do this particular podcast. Given the fact that everything's going on with the coronavirus and Black Lives Matter and all the protesting and rioting going on, I thought it was a need that we come together as Christians to talk about love, not hate, and the meaning of words. And as we go through this discussion, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. And I would like to introduce my TikTok friend, Luke Negron. And we met on TikTok. He responded to one of my videos. I guess he liked the response. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. We'll find out what he likes. So how you doing, Luke?
I'm doing really well, man. Hey, thanks for having me here.
Oh, no problem. This is awesome. Welcome to the Evangelical and Reform, also known as the EAR podcast. So obviously in wake of everything that's going on between love and hate, racism and whitewashed and brainwashed people and white privilege and, the Black Lives Matter movement giving a whole narrative of something that, takes Christianity and literally does this.
Yes. So that's right.
Let's start off with, I guess, Black Lives Matter. What's your take on, and I'm not trying to hem you up to where...
Starting off with an easy one. Not controversial at all. No, let's dive in. Hey, I love taking a bull by the horns. My take on Black Lives Matter?
Yep, what's your take on it?
All right, so here's my take. I love and agree with the idea that Black Lives Matter, as I think any liberty-loving individual should. And I really distrust and disapprove of the organization that has taken that name and used those words, Black Lives Matter, to stand for things that for you and I can see as fellow believers in Christ are anti-Christian, I would say are overtly anti-American, and even are anti-minority. Look, I mean, I have a mixed race ethnic background. They're anti everything that I came from, which is races coming together and realizing that we can intermingle and we don't have to be identified based on the way that we look. We can actually work together and live together and love each other and build lives alongside each other. So they're basically against everything I stand for. And I always make that caveat as an organization. And this is a very quick sleight of hand, and it's a marketing tactic. And you and I talked about this in the past, where you name yourself after something that sounds good, and then it doesn't matter what you stand for, because if anyone comes against you, you say, oh, so you don't agree in this case. So you don't agree that Black Lives Matter. You don't care about Black lives. No. It's not about that. It's that you misrepresent yourself by using those words in your name. That's my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my take on Black Lives, and I can speak on this more than you can. No offense, Luke. Being a person that lacks hue, tones or whatever.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yes, Black Lives Matter too. The movement, however, has forced me into this caveat to feel a certain way about myself, meaning that I'm too white if I don't agree with the ideology, or against Black lives if I don't agree with the ideology, which is not true. Because my take is, if you're going to say Black lives, okay, and lives is obviously plural to life,
Yes.
you have to, and this is my personal opinion, you want to talk about everything that encompasses the Black life. And for me, that's abortion, that's single parent homes, which a lot of people say single parent homes has nothing to do with Black lives. Really?
Right.
Okay. So that's Black on Black crime. They'll say, oh, it's just crime, but that's Blacks killing Blacks, Blacks selling drugs to Blacks, bringing others down. The biggest one that I see that I think is the most detrimental is Black people, in other words, being racist toward other Black people that don't agree or think their ideology.
Yes.
That also includes the lack of the parenting. You got parents that, I saw this video of these little kids walking around with signs that say, F the police.
Yeah.
I'm talking 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds.
Little babies.
Babies. Okay. So the parenting in the Black community, and please, if you're listening to this, don't take it as I am 100% against the parenting within the Black community. I am pointing out those parenting styles that hinder Black kids from succeeding. And I grew up in an environment where I would hear a Black parent say, you're going to be just like your mom. My mom was on drugs. My mom had a rough life. Don't tell me I'm going to be like my mom. Tell me I'm going to be the opposite. So that's a problem. You know, tearing down our own Black people is not good. Okay. The fifth one would be for me, you know, not supporting a Black kid's dreams. If a Black child says they want to be a surgeon, oh, you're not smart enough for that. You're not going to do that. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Blah blah blah. You're going to be in the system. You're going to live off of food stamps. You're going to grow up in child support or whatever. You're being negative toward the child. All right. So when Black Lives Matter, the movement that is, says that they're for Black lives, I don't see that. I only see a people that, or a group of people that, and most of them are white people, by the way.
Yes, that's right.
A group of people that say Black Lives Matter, but they only specify and specialize on one particular Black life. And that Black life would be those killed by white cops.
White cops. Amen. Okay. That's it. Yep.
So, and I happen to be a cop. Yes, I choose to be blue, if you will. I choose the blue life. All right. And I choose that life for a reason. I don't choose it just because, oh, it's a cool thing. I get a badge and a gun. No, I choose it for a reason. We'll get into that later. But what I'd like to do, Luke, is I'm going to share my screen with you. And
nice.
we're gonna take a look at the meaning of the word Black. All right. Because I even find that the word Black is taken out of its original context and the original meaning. And me being Presbyterian in theology or Presbyterian in denomination, I study the words that I read, and words are important to me. And they're not just a group of words that I can put together to make a racial slur or come back at somebody in a witty way, which you can do that if you're smart enough. So let's take a look at the meaning of the word Black. All right. Can you see the screen?
I can. Yep.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spotlight some stuff real quick. All right.
Nice.
So the word Black is an adjective. Okay. A lot of people may not know that. So the word Black is an adjective. All right. And the first definition says being a color that lacks hue and brightness and absorbs light without reflecting any of the rays composing it. Now, the example they have would be boxes with a black permanent marker. Okay, that's kind of vague. All right. And then definition 2 says pertaining or belonging to any of the various populations characterized by dark skin pigmentation, especially the dark-skinned peoples of Africa, Oceania, that's cool, and Australia. All right, so they're alluding to Black people being this color. I would be the one to say I'm not black. No, don't panic, people. I'm not black as, let's see, the tip of this marker,
right,
which is black.
Right.
As you can tell, look at my skin color; it doesn't even match. I am clearly a beautiful brown, but I'm not going to sit here and be that guy that goes against, black, being black or whatever. So yes, I'm black. All right. Now I want to take a look at the word life or lives, if you will. Come on, computer.
And while you're doing that, yeah, I mean, so we're talking about the cultural meaning of these words. Like you said, we're not talking about a black marker. We're talking about the black culture in the same way that, a Caucasian person is not paper white. They're called a white person because it's an easier way to categorize people. And as a quick side note, this is the reason I don't like using the term African American, because many black people are not from Africa. They either have roots in the islands or in Australia. And why segment them out from Americans? They're just Americans. So we don't call British Americans. We just call them American. Why not let us all be unified? So even by that definition, right, we're all just American, and then we can talk about the way we look. But at the end of the day, we're brothers and sisters. So yeah, but to lives now. So we're kind of picking it apart here. So black lives.
Yeah. So now looking at lives, and obviously the first thing that pops up on the screen is that it's a noun, okay? And it literally tells you plural of life. Okay, now I'm going to not click on that definition just yet, and I want to talk about the word life from a Christian perspective, okay? Now, you got people that will say, Luke and I have on blinders, okay? And I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, I have on a blinder. Because when I look at the word life, I look at the creation, okay? Everything that has a life, if it's breathing oxygen, or if it's taking in photosynthesis or whatever sciencey stuff you want to get into, like a flower, it's a life, okay? Yes. Now, this marker, in a sense, is not alive. This marker is, in a sense, dead. Yes. But if it writes, it has life to it because the liquid in there is still juicy enough to write something with. Same thing with a highlighter. However, we're talking about humans and plants and dinosaurs and apes, monkeys, and fish, right? So when you click on the word life, the first definition, and I love the first definition, it literally says the condition that distinguishes organisms from, I cannot pronounce that word.
Let's see. It's a very small screen. Let me see if I can.
I'm sorry. I got it.
There we go.
Sorry. The condition that distinguishes organisms for inorganic objects and dead organisms being manifested by the growth through metabolism, reproduction, and the power of adaptation to the environment through changes orienting internally. Sorry. And then the second one says the sum of distinguishing pneumonia, I guess, and organisms, especially metabolism, growth, so forth and so on. Okay, so again, you have the worldly definition of life, which is by far this is what I consider biblical, because in the beginning, God created, okay, and all of these fancy words were created in the whole bubble of life, okay. So now we're taking black and we're taking an adjective. Okay, let's get Englishy real quick. We're taking an adjective and we're putting it in front of a noun. Okay, so now we're saying a group of people and their life matters. All right. So let's take a look at the word matter.
So we're getting specific. We're not just saying life matters. We're getting into Black life. Yeah.
Black life matters. Okay. Now matter or matters is another noun. So you have an adjective and two nouns, all right, within that cluster of words that they're using. And the definition for matter simply says that the substance or substances of which any physical object consists or is composed, all right?